Keith, it's always an honor to talk to you. Of course, you and your wife are absolute legends in the hymn writing world and beyond. So I always get excited when you guys put new music out, and you have a new album out. I got to listen to it. It's absolutely beautiful. And you're going back to your roots with this album. So talk about the inspiration behind it and the creative process behind it.
Surely, well, we went back to Ireland a week after Sing Global, and that was the beginning. That was the beginning for us. And so it's been a really special season. You know, we went back and we thought we'll never get a chance to take our girls back to Ireland for a year to spend time in our home country, to spend time with their grandparents, their cousins, et cetera, et cetera. And so this was just brilliant. So we just did it, and it's been a really special. It was really special. The album really is just a diary of that season.
Yeah. So this album's a mix of classic hymns and of some new songs. And I want to talk about the song Past the Promise. It's a song about deliverance. It's really an anthem of hope. So what's the backstory behind this song?
Yeah, Past the Promise was the final song written for the project. It was Kristen, you know, through the year, we went back to Ireland and we thought about all the 17 centuries of Christianity since St. Patrick brought Christianity to Ireland. And of course, St. Patrick was a hymn writer himself, and he wrote the Confessio and he wrote Breastplate. And so that's why we called the album that, because it goes right back to St. Patrick. And we thought about 17 centuries of Christianity in Ireland. And we thought about all the faithful pastors and farmers and tradesmen and teachers who had faithfully passed on the faith for generations. And I think Chris and I were just overwhelmed that we want to be part of that legacy. We want to, in our lives and in our witness and in the hymns that we sing, pass on songs to our children that they can carry with them through their life. And so that was kind of the theme of it. And of course, I wrote a bunch of melodies. Kristen didn't like them. Then Sandra McCracken turned up one day, and she's so cool. She and Kristen just came up with this cool idea that was way cooler than what I'd come up with. So I got fired, and so it's a Sandra McCracken and Kristen song.
That's amazing. Now, do you have a favorite song in the album? Because I mean, you've got so many beautiful classic hymns on there. You've got In Christ Alone Again with Alison Krauss on there. But what was this particularly special song to you?
I think Past the Promise is the most recent one. So that's kind of special. We're also adding an extra track, which we couldn't get in time, which Ricky Skaggs has come on to do a song called Brightest and Best with Kristen. And I think those are the two most recent. They're the ones I'm most excited about. I think Past the Promise has got a lovely kind of almost Appalachian simplicity to it. And our kids love singing it. So I think of our girls.
It's almost like a call and response type song, which I love.
That's right. Call and response in the verses, then everyone sings the chorus, and it just flies. People love it, and then of course some of the hymns are wonderful too. Kristen's version of Amazing Grace is such an interesting story. It was there's a place in Donegal, about an hour from our house, where there's historical records that's where John Newton wrote Amazing Grace when his ship went in Donegal and Buncrana in Donegal, and so we went and took the girls there. Then we thought, let's record the song, and so Dana Masters is a friend of Kristen's. She's a wonderful African-American singer, but she lives in Northern Ireland because she's a Van Morrison's singer. She sings in she's the main vocalist in the Van Morrison band. And but she's a really fine believer, pastor's wife. And she said, Kristen says, let's go do it, because we have this constant argument with our African-American friends, you know, is Amazing Grace an Irish tune or is it a spiritual? You know, so we constantly have this kind of debate, you know. So I said, let's do a kind of a mixture version. And would you believe it? We ended up getting into a fish and chip shack one day. One of my friends owns a fish and chip shack, and he's like, can we just record Amazing Grace here? I thought it'd be really different. I mean, terrible acoustic, but they sat down and they did this version, and it was amazing, like amazing. And that's the actual version we use in the album, recorded in the fish and chip shack in Ireland. Yeah. And then Kirk Whalum, who was a friend of ours, obviously, you know, Kirk Whalum from Whitney Houston's album. He also did the big saxophone solo in I'll Always Love You. Whitney Houston made all those albums with Babyface and Quincy Jones. And he's become a friend, and he said he had added some saxophone to it, and it was just magical.
Wow. That's incredible. Now, you're behind so many beautiful songs that are sung around the world in churches. What draws you specifically to the worship aspect of Christian music?
Well, I'm far more interested in hymns than I am Christian music. I've never really been interested in Christian music, to be totally honest. But I am interested in the hymns that we sing in our churches, that we sing with our families, and the hymns that we pass on to our children. You know, obviously, the first hymn, as you mentioned, way back in 2000 was In Christ Alone. I wrote the melody in 2000. We finished the song in 2001. And so that's always been a huge part of life for us. You know, I mean, that by 2005, I'd quit the music industry to focus exclusively on just writing modern hymns and championing great hymns for people. And so I think that's that. It's the fact that what we sing so profoundly shapes us and affects us, that we want, but we're concerned the next generation are not singing enough of the hymns that they will carry for life. And they have such an amazing influence on our lives, you know. So I guess that's really the calling of our lives.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Now, talk about the importance of corporate worship, especially at a time when we're coming out of a season of isolation.
Sure. Well, I mean, corporate worship is always important. I mean, the Bible, the command to sing is the second most common command in the whole Bible. So I'm pretty certain that means it's pretty important to the Lord, you know. And if you add words like praise and proclaim and all those kind of words, it actually becomes the most common command in Scripture. So it's obviously deeply important to the Lord. It's not just for people who are musical. It's not just for people who are overly emotional. It's not just for women, but it's for everyone. And we're all commanded to sing, and we're created to sing. And because of Christ, you know, how can we keep from singing? And so it's a hugely important thing wherever and however we are in life. It's been profoundly difficult for people because the joy of being together as God's people, that's the nearest thing we have to heaven. The picture of heaven we have in Revelation is of every tribe, tongue, nation, language, all together, singing to their Creator, singing to their Redeemer. And so the little microcosm of that we have on earth is getting together to sing. And so my encouragement to most people will be, obviously, love your neighbor as yourself. You know, don't be spreading disease. Make sure you're not taking crazy risks that would endanger your own health as well, because it means it will endanger others. But do all you can to gather together with believers. But not just that. If you're in a home with a family, make sure your family are filling your home with songs of the Lord.
Yeah.
You know, and make sure you're doing that. You know, I don't believe anyone has any business being at the front of a church, leading worship, leading the church, leading the preaching, if they're not filling their own homes with songs of the Lord first. That's your first calling. And another thing I would say is that we do have the gift of this technology. You know, we have the gift of electricity and all these kind of things, but we also have the gift of the internet. And as much as that gift has been used by the devil to break up families, it is an amazing gift that we can be listening to music. So even if you're by yourself, do make the effort to watch services, to listen to God's people sing, and to find ways to participate like that while you're doing that. But they have deepest sympathy for sure.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Now, you're a father of beautiful little girls. I have two little kids myself.
How old?
1 and 3.
That's chaos. That is total chaos.
It's a mess. Every day's a mess.
Yeah. But a beautiful mess.
I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah. I shouldn't say it's a beautiful mess, but it is beautiful, but that does not take away from the fact that it is the most difficult thing you will ever do in life.
Yes. Well, I so appreciate that there is music that I can play for my kids in the car. There's something so special about hearing little voices singing to Jesus. So how has fatherhood impacted the hymns that you write?
Sure. Good, great question. You know what? I think when I think about the last 10 years, the first 10 years of our hymns were very much about just trying to write great modern hymns that would transform, you know, the world for Christ. And it was for the most part a strong, good motivation. I think when I had kids, I became more aware of, I guess one's responsibility to those below us, but also of one's mortality. And so you begin to go, okay, what are the hymns that are really going to transform my children, that are going to strengthen them? And so our company became much more orientated towards, yes, writing hymns, but secondly, championing other people who write good hymns, and thirdly, finding the great hymns of history and getting them out there. And so our organization, I guess in some ways we took ourselves a little bit less seriously, but took the cause of helping our children's generation a lot more seriously.
Yeah. Well, they're facing unprecedented difficulties. Sometimes it scares me. I'm like, we didn't have the kind of pressures that our children will have.
No, that's right. I've had conversations with our girls are 10, 7, 6, and 3. And I've had conversations with my 6 and 7-year-olds that I didn't have to have even when I was 16 and 17. And so the challenges are unprecedented, but at the same time, God has not changed. And so we have to, but I think we can get away with less. I think we have to make sure that our children know the scriptures better than they know us. They know the scriptures better than even they know their own careers. I think they have to be more passionate and be more creative and imaginative in their love for the Lord than their love for Disney. If we do not put songs that so fill their emotions with the Lord, then Frozen will take those songs. And Frozen is anti-Christian. They're great songs. I mean, our kids love the songs. They're great songs, but they're not Christian. So we've got to be constantly filling our kids up with that, so that without saying anything, they immediately know the difference. And then we have to, as families, I think, work harder at keeping the unity in our families, and logically keep the unity in our churches. People keep talking about, oh, there's so much breakdown and there's so much, split and anarchy in the church at the minute. Well, of course there is. I mean, look at the culture around you. What do you expect? I mean, look at social media, and it's natural that's going to happen. We shouldn't be surprised at that, but we got to work harder. We got to pray. We got to pray harder, and we got to make sure that our families are more biblical than ever before.
Yeah, that's really good. And sort of on that note, talk about the importance of churches also vetting the music that they choose to sing.
I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that. It is, there's a movement among churches and pastors, and it's not typical. It's right across everywhere. The most conservative churches are doing this, as well as the most charismatic, the most traditional, as well as the most modern, the biggest and the smallest. They're doing this, and it's like the pastor goes, I preach the word, everybody else do the rest, and I'll just concentrate on the sermon. Well, that's stupidity. That's not how the Bible was written. That's not how that's not how the church fathers behaved. That's not how Martin Luther and John Calvin behaved. That's not how the revivalists like Charles Wesley and Isaac Watts behaved. It's not how the founding fathers of America, from Jonathan Edwards all the way through to Dwight Moody, none of them behaved like that. They understood that, yes, you preach the word, but what your congregations sing and the shape of your services, from the prayers to the Bible readings, is crucially important. It's crucially important. And we have to be able to do that. And what if we don't do that? What will happen is we'll get a generation of children going to churches that are imaginative and lively and fill their imaginations, but are shallow, or else we'll get people going to churches that are full of truth, but they're so boring and so, just loveless and joyless that there's none of the attractiveness of Christianity to draw people. And the first thing that actually attracts their imagination in life will draw them away. And so there's a huge danger with it, and we've got to love. I would say to any pastor or any parent out there or any teacher, love your people enough to care about what they sing.
Absolutely. Do some of the trends in modern worship concern you?
Yeah, a lot of them. What concerns me even more though is parents and teachers and pastors who blindly accept it. I mean, at the end of the day, the modern worship, call it what you want, it's largely an industry run by Wall Street. I mean, so none of us should be acting like this is some great Christian resource that we should take blindly. How many things in the history of the world has Wall Street made more godly? It's like, so if we're going to accept that, I mean, and these songs are a lot of times written by people who you wouldn't trust to be your kids' Sunday school teachers. You know what I mean? And so some of these people are great, but a lot of them aren't. And we've got to be wiser. We've got to own up to the responsibilities of our lives, of the short life we have on earth, and give our kids the things that are beautiful. Now, of course, there's wonderful things coming out of modern worship too. There's songs that my kids love to sing that we're thrilled they're singing, and there's wonderful people involved in it. So it is absolutely not a condemnation of a movement of the whole movement, but the movement as a whole shouldn't be trusted like you trust something like the Bible or the hymns out of the hymn book that the pastors in your church chose. These things deserve a little bit more trust, or the teachers that your elders of your church have given you.
Well, Keith, how do you ensure that the songs that you're writing are also theologically and biblically accurate?
Oh man, well, I think in my case, first of all, I'm around good writers. So I'm more the music guy, but my wife, Stuart Townend, Matt Boswell, these kind of guys are just the best lyricists of our generation, I think. So I'm kind of a little spoiled having guys like that. And then a lot of our stuff also with Matt Merker and others is we're looking at the great hymns of the faith and playing with those lyrics. So we're around so many of those guys that I think is good. And then we all check each other's. In the Getty Music publishing team, I think there's 8 or 9 writers there, and we're always checking each other's hymns and challenging each other. And then we also got some great pastors around us too. So, but I think it's not just about being sound or correct or not wrong. I think a lot of it is actually also about writing to the things that we need. You know what I mean? So it's inspiration and community at the front end as well as just the back end. What are the songs we're longing to do? We're longing to get more psalms. We need more psalms to be sung, because so much of this deconstruction we're seeing online from people are people who either never understood the gospel in the first place, or are people who never read the Psalms. If they had read the Psalms, most of their issues, the psalmists are having these issues thousands of years ago. This is not some new thing that's happened because we have the internet or because we have, artificial intelligence. These are things that are as old as the Psalms. And so, so I think thinking in the front end as well, and I've said that to anybody who's helping young songwriters, young musicians, or even just young Christians, let's inspire at the front end, as well as trying to protect them from being wrong at the back end.
Keith, ultimately, what is your hope? What is your prayer for your new album?
The prayer for the new album is just that we give lots of people some of the greatest hymns in history to enjoy, and that they will pass that promise on to their children. And indeed, 2 or 3 modern hymns as well. Obviously, the redo of In Christ Alone, Pass the Promise, Come Thou Almighty King, written by our music director at our church, Tommy Bailey. Really excited about those songs as well.